right, class. First off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. So, today we're going to be talking about the end of World War One for the United States. Now, I know from the lessons, if you've really been listening and following along, you've been like, wait, the US just started. Yeah, we basically started, and we weren't there that long before it ended. Okay, so yeah, our involvement was pretty short, as you're going to see. And you're going to see how the United States basically, in a sense, viewed, some of the issues that might happen in Europe and things like that. You're going to see President Wilson's 14 points to try to prevent another large scale war from happening. So we're going to be looking at that. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. So here's your warm up picture. Now, here's the thing. Um, in order to fully truly understand this picture, you got to understand this. Um, Bridges, especially back in the day, like in the Romans and the Egyptian times and some of that, they never used concrete. They never used nails and steel and things like that. They basically just used stone. And some of those bridges and waterways, aqueducts, things like that, they are still used today. They are still strong today. Why? Because the middle stone, which is known as the keystone, holds it all together. And yet, remember, there's been a lot of weight, cars and tanks and things like that, that have gone over bridges that have no, steel and metal to hold it up. It's just stone. And these stones are not like one solid piece, they are little pieces put together. And that's the thing, as you see here in this picture, you see Belgium, France, England, Italy. The keystone is the most important part of a stone bridge like this to keep it all together. So here's my question to you. According to this picture and according to this artist, how important is the US involvement in the League of Nations? Okay, so if you look at the sign, it says the League of Nations Bridge. So how important is that piece to make the whole thing complete? How important is it? Okay, so analyze this picture, explain why it's so important or not important. Okay, so think about it, write it down because we're moving on in three, two, one. Now, in total, the US was involved in 13 major battles. Now, during World War One, there was only about like 26, 27, maybe 28 major battles, somewhere along there. So we were in about half of them. Now, here's the thing though. You have to remember a lot of the fighting during World War One was like they dug trenches. They ran into each other, dug trenches, and basically solidified this is our side, this is your side, and we're gonna watch, make sure that you guys don't come on our side or don't try to advance and things like that. Um, there were other fighting in cities and things like that, but a lot of times in the trenches, there wasn't much fighting going on. Okay, so that's why when the US joined in, this is basically the end. And they were major battles to basically bring about the end of World War One. Okay, so the United States joined the war in April 1917. Okay, so now the Allies have fresh soldiers. The British, the French, the Belgium, they can now, in a sense, kind of take a breath because now, hey, there's the U.S. soldiers. These guys are fresh. These guys have adrenaline. These guys are ready to go. Again, the British, French, and all these guys, they've been fighting for 4 years. So now they're like, okay, let them fight for a little bit. Let us try to recuperate. Let us try to heal our soldiers and things like that. Okay, so the U.S. starts fighting alongside Britain, France, and other countries. Now, about 8, 9 months later, um, President Wilson gives a speech to Congress and tells them on January 8th, 1918, I have a plan. And in this plan is a way to end all type of large scale wars. There will not be another world war if we do these 14 things. And this became known as the 14 points. So number one, he says we need open democracy, or I'm sorry, open diplomacy without secret treaties. He said basically you can't have two countries who are like, oh, we hate each other, and all of a sudden secretly be friends. No, if you guys are friends, let the whole world know. Because the thing is, if some country attacks this other country for whatever reason, they're going to ask their friends to join in, and that other country is not going to know what's going on, and then they're going to call their friends and things like that. No, no, no. Let everyone know who you're buddies with, who you're not getting along with, and things like that. That way, there's no secret alliances and things like that. Um, Economic free trade on the seas during war and peace. So basically, they're saying if this country, the United States, is trading with Mexico and Mexico is trading with China, doesn't matter who's going to war with who. Trade should be allowed to happen, whether it's peacetime or not. Okay? Let the trade be undisturbed. And that takes us to the next thing, equal trade conditions. So they're saying basically, in another sense, if one country buys a barrel of oil for $100, this country who's selling that oil should not say, oh, well, this country, I don't like them. They said mean things about us. So we're going to charge them $150. No, no, no. You charge them 100, you charge these guys 100. Okay. It should not be, lopsided and things like that, because then that's going to cause some problems. And in that country who's buying for 100, they might take advantage and try to sell to another country, but then will upset the country they're selling oil to or they're buying oil from, and then that's going to cause some problems. So he's like, no, no, make it even all the way across. If you're selling to these guys, sell to them at this price too. The next one, decrease in armaments, which is basically weapons. They're saying, why are you guys buying so much weapons for your soldiers? It's peacetime. Okay. And also, you have to remember during this time, weapons are getting better. They're becoming better from 1918 up until, you know, the 1930s, 1940s. Guns improve and they get better. And that's what they're saying. Why spend so much money, millions of dollars on guns that you're not going to be using, that are only going to be obsolete in another 2 years, 5 years, when you can spend that money on education, taking care of old people, taking care of little kids, things like that. So that's what they're saying. Next one, adjusting colonial claims. Again, countries like the United States, Britain, France, they've had their hands all around the world taking over areas. And what this basically says is um, a country should stop taking over an area saying this is ours when really it's already been settled. That land is already taken. Just think of it like this: if you're sleeping in your bed and then somebody just like joins in, they push you to the side saying, "Oh, this is mine now. This is my part of the bed," and you only have like this little bitty piece left. You're like, "No, no, this is my whole bed. Get out of my bed." You know, that's the same thing with these other countries. That's their land, and who's this country to just barge in and say this is our territory? That's what I'm saying. Stop those claims. Um, Evacuation of all Central Powers from Russia and allow it to define its own independence. Because thing is, Russia at this time they got out of the war. They were like, you know what, we're done. The people of Russia were upset. They're like, we're starving, we're sacrificing so much, we're not winning any battles, we're losing. Let's just get out. Why don't these politicians send their sons and daughters, and they don't look like they're starving? It's the people. So Russia was going through a revolution, and some people didn't know if they were going to be democracy, communist or whatever. So they basically said all those Central Powers countries, Austria-Hungary, the Ottoman Empire, get out and let Russia decide what they want to be: democratic, communist, whatever. When you guys decide, let us know. Okay. Next one, Belgium to be evacuated and restored. So basically, like Russia, hey, every country, you don't got to go home. You don't got to go home, but you got to get out of here. Get out of Belgium and bring back Belgium the way it was. Redraw its borders and things like that. Also, the French territories, give them back to them to the way it was before. Readjust the Italian borders. Make sure that hey, the border is no longer here for Italy. It's now over here. Okay. The other thing was Austria-Hungary. They basically said, okay, Austria-Hungary, you people need to decide, not the politicians, not the military, the people decide whether they want to still be two countries in one or they want to be separated. You, your own country, Austria, you, your own country, Hungary. You decide. Okay, not again, not the politicians, not the military, the people. Number 11 said, hey, the Balkan region areas, the Romania, Serbia, Montenegro, you guys helped out the allies. You guys deserve to get more land because they're tiny countries. They're like, now that you won, you get to have more land. Okay. Uh, Same thing with Turkish. They lost. Okay. But they had a little strained relation between with them and the Dardalians. Dardalius. Okay. I always kill that name. Um, but they told them, hey, you got to have a guaranteed free trade with them. No restrictions. No, oh, well, we don't like you anymore. No, none of that stuff. Okay. Number 13 is one that's going to play a factor when we get to World War II, and that's the creation of an independent Polish state. Because Poland is going to take away territory from Germany. And Germany, as you may or may not know, plays a pretty big role in World War II. Okay, so keep this in the back of your head, okay? Poland. The last one was to create a League of Nations. So basically, the United States, England, France, Belgium, Italy, I believe, like, if I remember right, like Portugal, and so several other countries, they would have representatives get together and meet up. And basically, if one country, let's say, I don't know, Austria, decides to try to attack France, France could basically go, hey, England, America, back me up. And we would back them up. And then France would tell, Austria saying, hey, do you really want to pick a fight with us? Because I got backup. And it's the kind of way to deter them from like, oh, no, 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 I don't want to fight these big countries. And it also prevents those big countries from trying to attack a small country. So let's say a country like France wants to take over a small country like Serbia. Then England, United States, Belgium would tell France, hey, don't be picking on them because if you pick on them, we're going to go after you and we could beat you. So it's kind of like keeping everyone in check. Okay. Now, a lot of the countries around the world like these 14 points, but you're going to see in the next slide how the Americans viewed it. All right. So here's the thing, though. According to the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, under Article 2, Section 2, it says that the president can make any treaty with any country. Okay, so the president can say, let's stop this war, let's have peace. But here's the thing: Congress has to approve that treaty in order for it to be official. Okay, so Congress, the House of Representatives, and the Senate both have to have it passed by 2/3, meaning for every three people in the House of Representatives and the Senate on each side, at least two people have to agree. So in the Senate, uh, there's 100 people, so 66 people have to agree on it. And in the House of Representatives, there's 435 people, so that means about 200 and like 90 of them have to agree to it. So it's not an easy thing to get done. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But in this case, it was not because a large part of America was just like the rest of the world saying, oh, yeah, this 14 points are good, it's good. But for the US, a lot of citizens were like, but that last one, saying we have to back up the European countries, that we don't like. And a lot of people were like, well, why? Why don't you like it? And they basically stated, well, look, it's like this: there's an ocean between us. The Atlantic Ocean is right between the United States and Europe. Why should we have to go over there and solve problems that they created? You know, that has nothing to do with us. Europe is over there. Let them deal with their own crap. Why should we get involved? That has nothing to do with us. Let the United States be away from everyone. All right. We'll take care of our own. Let them take care of their own stuff. If problem happens with England and France and all them, that's their thing. Let them be. And a lot of people told their senators and their congressmen, if you vote for this treaty, we're not going to vote for you in the next election. And you have to remember, a lot of these politicians, they like their nice, cushy politician job. So a lot of senators didn't vote for it, and the Senate didn't adopt the treaty, and then that basically made it like not illegal, but just we didn't sign the treaty. If President Wilson tried to sign it, it would not be valid because he does not have the authority to do that, and he does not then represent the voice of the people in the United States. So the United States never joined the League of Nations. So World War I officially ends on November 11th, 1918. November 11th is known as Armistice Day. Okay, the treaty was signed. This is the way you always remember it. This is the way I've always remembered it. It was signed on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Okay, that's the best way to remember it. Now, here's the thing though, which we're going to be talking about later on. After World War II, some people were like, well, do we celebrate two Armistice days or how are we going to do this? You know? And basically, the US Congress decided, you know what? No, we're not going to have two separate celebrations. What we're going to do is we're going to change the name of Armistice Day. It's not going to be recognized as the day we won World War One. It's going to be known as Veterans Day. This is the day when we honor those soldiers who are currently serving in the military or have served in the military. That's Veterans Day. Okay. Um, Now, here's the sad but honest truth. While the U.S. soldiers were coming home, they were coming home to their homes just the way they left it. Their jobs, the factories, and so that's still there. Um, because again, you have to remember there was no battles happening over here in World War One. So a lot of soldiers came home, and it was just like as if they left yesterday. However, around the world, in France, Germany, Russia, a lot of people, their homes were destroyed, the places where they worked at destroyed. When they got home, if their homes weren't destroyed, then the people were starving. Their family members, wife, daughter, son, grandpa, mom, dad, whoever, probably died of some disease or starvation. So a lot of those soldiers in Europe, they went back home and things were worse. But the US soldiers came home and everything was hunky dory. So this brings us to our next question. Do you think the rest of the world is going to resent America because we claimed victory even though we showed up late and our land, our basically our home, was not touched or affected in any which way? And if you don't know what the word resent means, um, think of it like this. those really rich people like the Kardashians and things like that, when they say stuff like, "Oh my God, oh, this is my life is so hard. I don't know where to go for vacation during the summer. Oh my God, life is so tough." And it's like, girl, you millionaire. You can do anything you want anytime. You don't have to work. You really don't even have to work. And you're saying life is hard? That feeling towards that person, that's resentment. You're kind of like, what the heck? You don't even know what's up, you know? So that's resentment, kind of anger, and like, what are you talking about? That kind of feeling. Okay. So do you think the rest of the world is going to resent America because we're claiming victory and we showed up late to the battle? We showed up late to the war, and our homes and factories and lives were not really affected all too much compared to the Europeans. Okay. So once you respond to this question, um, you're basically done. Okay. So, with that being said, you guys, you take care, you be safe, and I'll see you guys later. Okay.